This is Professor Dr. Siddharth Wakankar. This is Professor Dr. Siddharth Yashwant Wakankar from Baroda. I am highly grateful to the authorities of the University of Sanskrit Department of the Bombay University for inviting me to give a lecture on games in Sanskrit literature. It's a part of their Diamond Jubilee year celebration. I take this opportunity to start the lecture with a very important observation. See, I am supposed to give a lecture on three minor topics, namely chess, chaturanga or buddhibala, playing cards, and snakes and ladders. I start with the game of chaturanga. See, in 16th century Bengal, there was one Dharmasastrakar whose name was Raghunandan Bhattacharya. He composed a work known as Tithi Tattva, and under the Kojagara Krutyam, he gives a description in nearly 39 verses of a game which is known as Chaturanga. Chaturanga Kridanam. Vyasa Yudhishthira Samvadaha Prachalati. It means it was a tradition which came down to him because he says that there was a dialogue between Vyasa and Yudhishthira about the game which is known as Chaturanga. I'll come to this Chaturanga, Buddhibala, and as you know, Chaturanga is the fourfold army of the kings in ancient India. Hasti, Ashwa, Rathar, Padata. The Chaturanga game was played with dice which were made of the nuts of Bibhitaka Vruksha, what is called Behada in Marathi. And this is first referred to in Rigvedic times. And so we can say that this Akshakrida, the game of dice, was prevalent right from the Vedic times. The most important problem in Sanskrit literature is most of the literary evidence has been destroyed or lost to us, and the earliest reference to this game is found in the 16th century work of Tithi Tattva. So from that onwards, we will go to the description of the Chaturanga and how we turn into Buddhibala. In Chaturanga, there were four kings on four sides. The kings opposite to each other were Sapaksha and others were Vipaksha. The important thing about Chaturanga was a king could be killed. Unlike Buddhibala or chess, where the king is not killed, it is only checkmated. In that Chaturanga game, there were four kings with their army, and in course of time, this Akshakrida was banned by the Dharma Shastra. Akshayi Ma Kriditavyam. So in the beginning, it was Akshakrida, and in course of time, the Aksha was removed and only Buddhi remained there. So it came to be known as Buddhibala. Earlier, it was Chaturanga. I'll explain what is the Chaturanga. Four kings sitting on in the four directions with four colored pieces. Total number of pieces were 32. And there was a position of Chaturaji. That means that since there were four kings, a king could be defeating other two kings and his allies also with him. So if this is the position, it is Chaturaji. Chaturnam Radnyam Samahara. So this was one of the technical terms. Then how this game was played? It was played with the dice. There were 2 or 3 dice, and Chatushkena Vati Raja. If it is 4, then you have to move your king, or Vati. Vati is a patti or a pawn. Dvitiyana cha Kunjara. Kunjara is elephant. If the Dan is 2, then Kunjara will. So this was the game of dice. But see, it was limited to 64 houses only. And a situation might come where your pawn will not go further, especially the elephant or king, etc. But there was a possibility of a very important technical device known as reviving the piece in modern times. If the pawn goes to the Shatpada, goes 6 steps ahead of itself and reaches the house of the opposite direction, then that piece will be revived. In modern times, it is a revival of the chess piece. So that Shatpada was important in those days also. Another thing which we know today as castling was also available in those times. Before your king is checkmated, you can change your place of elephant and king. That also was there. So these were basic rules, but it was all based on dice. And once the dice comes, there was a pana also. Pana is a bet. If you kill this Raja, you will get two panas or four panas, whatever the amount of money is described or decided. So because of that money, because of the lust of earning more money, there came the most important problem of hand jugglery, leading to kitava or chala or kapata. That means trying to overpower your opponent by foul means. Kitava is foul means. So in order that I must amass more wealth, he used to make some tricks. And you know what happens to a trick. Everybody knows what Shakuni Mama did in the Mahabharata. That was the end. So in view of this disastrous end, later on the Dharma Shastra prohibited the use of Aksha, and automatically when the Aksha was removed, the important thing was your own reasoning power, tarka. So your luck was removed with the help of your aksha, and your tarka was important. So that aksha krida turned into a buddhi bala krida, where your power of reasoning were more important. Another thing, in those times, nauka was there. Nauka was turned into a modern camel. So these changes took place in course of time. And another important thing about Buddhibala, modern chess, two-handed chess, was the introduction of the queen or the wazir, what we call wazir. This was not a pawn in Indian tradition of chess. It was because of the intercourse of these cultures, Indian or foreign cultures, that this piece has come into our chess. And modern times, it is considered to be most important piece. But when we come to the differences between chess and buddhibala, one important difference is in chess, you are not supposed to kill the king, but checkmate him. Second difference was, or you can say, another quality of chess is the four kings were reduced to two kings, and their entire army was divided into two parts. It was black and white. Nowadays it is black and white. So all their pawns remain the same except this Vajira, introduced Vajira, and other things change due to change in circumstances, local traditions, etc. I'll give very important local tradition as far as Maharashtra is concerned. See, in Maharashtra, there was a tradition that you can start the game of chess by playing the king, and in that way, the king will go like a horse. Gamanam Ashwavat Bhavet. So you can start your game of chess with a king which goes 2.5 houses. This is corroborated by three different scholars from three different regions speaking three different languages but settled in three places of Maharashtra. One was Tiruvengadacharya, a scholar from Tirupati who was patronized by Bajirao Peshwe II at Pune. The second was Daji Jyotirvid from Kolhapur, who was the Raja Jyotishi of the kings of Kolhapur. And third was Venkatram Harikrishna, a Gujarati Brahmin from Kanauj area, settled in Maharashtra. In 1835, that time, that means nearly 200-year-old, this tradition was prevalent in Maharashtra. but I don't know how much the modern chess players know of this move of the king at the beginning of the game. Now we come to the most important fact of the strength of these chess pieces and the most virtual, we can say, victory. See, a king or wazir killing a wazir is okay, but the most, you can say, least powerful pawn taking the hold of a king, checkmating the king, was supposed to be the highest kind of a matter or checkmate. So a king who is checkmated with the help of a pawn, that pawn is more important in modern chess also in Buddhibala, as it was in those times of Chaturanga. So getting defeated at the hands of the lowest cadre was an apamana, and that apamana, that insult was given to a king if he is not powerful enough to protect himself or his army. And this Maharashtra tradition is not to be seen anywhere except these three works. So if anybody knows of the any other work which gives this tradition, I'll be happy to add that to my knowledge. Now we turn to the second game, which is known as playing cards. In Sanskrit, it is known as chada, and in Persian or Russian, it is known as ganjifa. Ganja is a Persian and Russian word which means a treasure, khajina. So playing cards was a khajina, was a treasure, and how was it played? It also is important, but unfortunately, again, Indian tradition of playing cards is almost defunct. Nobody knows how the game of Dasavatari Ganjifa or Navagraha Ganjifa or Rashi Ganjifa is to be played. I've been working on this for more than 46 years. I tried all my efforts to contact persons who can show me how this game of Ganjifa is played in Maharashtra or Gujarat or Bengal or Odisha, but I could not find anybody who can play the game to show its distinct features. So, as far as the game of Ganjifa is concerned, we are totally ignorant of the way it was played. Only what we know are the rules of the Ganjifa. But the rules also have some technical problems, just like Dyuta also. When we come to Dyuta, I forgot one point to discuss in Chaturanga. We have two or three different varieties or traditions of Dyuta mixed together, mingled together. So if you want to go to study a Prachin Bharatiya Dyuta, it is a difficult problem. Professor M.A. Mehendale tried to solve this problem in his book Prachin Bharatiya Dyuta, published by Santrika from Pune. But he also says the same thing. There are mixtures of tradition which create some problem in playing in modern times. Now, when we come to the actual varieties of Ganjifa or playing cards, we can divide them in two parts. One is Indian Ganjifa or Hindu Ganjifa, you can say, and other is Persian Ganjifa, which is known as Changa Kanchana. Changa and both are Persian words. The third Ganjifa is what we know modern time known is foreign Ganjifa, Western Ganjifa, you can say. In Ganjifa in Indian tradition, the Ganjifa, the playing cards were circular in shape, made of pulp or lac or sometimes mother of pearl, chipla. Then it was painted by the scholars or the artists, you can say, who were known as chitaris or modern chitrakaras, artists, artisans, you can say. You can say call them karu also. That is the word in Sanskrit, right from Vedic times. We have 4 or 5 varieties of Ganjifa which are prevalent mostly in Maharashtra and sometimes in Bengal, Karnataka, etc. We'll first refer to Dashavatari Ganjifa, Navagraha Ganjifa, Rashi Ganjifa, which were more popular in Maharashtra, then Vishnupur Ganjifa, which was popular in Bengal, Ramayana Ganjappa, which was popular in Orissa, and Chhada, which was popular in Karnataka. Unfortunately, we have very few works, Sanskrit works dealing with Ganjifa. There are 2-3 works by some Maharashtrian scholars. Giridhar Chaturanga Kridaname is there. Then there was one Krishnaraj Vodayar III, Mumbadi Krishnaraj, the king of Mysore, who wrote a work, composed a work known as Sri Tatvanidhi, which deals with how a murti is to be created. It's a murti shastra, and it consists of 9 chapters known as nidhis or treasures, and the 9th nidhi is known as Kautuka Nidhi, that curiosity of how to play, how to pass your time, how to have pastimes, etc., etc. He has written a Sanskrit text and in Kautuka Nidhi, but his interest was more in spreading the knowledge of the Ganjif or Chhada, which he divided into 13 varieties, depending on the name and the number of cards. And he wrote a Kannada commentary on it so that the general public also will be able to understand the nuances of the playing cards. Get the point? And in his area, the playing cards were known as chhada. That means to conceal, to hide. Your cards were supposed to be hidden from your opponents. And he created 13 varieties of Ganjifa cards based on I told you. I don't go into the details. The only thing was they were played like Changa Kanchana. That's what he says. Changa Kanchana. What? But what is Changa Kanchana? Changa Kanchana is first described in Akbarnama. Aine Akbari. But in Aine Akbari, the Ganjifas which are described have all Sanskrit names. Gajapati, Gadapati, Ashwapati, etc., etc. That means it was originally an Indian game, which are turned into Persian names, etc. So I keep aside that Persian game because I could not get any information about that game or the players who could try to play the game. I turn my attention to the Dashavatari Ganjifa, which were more popular in Maharashtra. Everybody knows that Vishnu has 10 avatars. 9 are already over, 10th is about to come. So in keeping with the 10 avatars, corresponding to that, the Dashavatari Ganjifa was created and it was popularized by one very great person who happens to be a king of Savantwadi, a small state. His name was Lieutenant Colonel Shivaji Raje Bhosle. Last century, he started Savantwadi lacquerware and he started creating the Ganjifa by employing different chitaris. And it's a very flourishing trade and almost all his Ganjifas are exported. He has written a small book giving the rules, but specifically says that he himself has not been able to play the game because all the royal families used to have players who used to play games, but nowadays nobody after the, you can say, disappearance of the states after independence, this game of also disappeared from the memory of the scholars. Every royal state, every royal darbar has Ganjifa cards with them, but there are no players who can explain the way of playing or who can actually play the game. Historically important things are 2 things. There is a reference in Peshwaicha Saulit, a work written by Narayan Govind Sapekar, where on page 197 and 98, he says that a set of Rashi Ganjifa is to be prepared and sent to the Peshwa. This is the only reference of the currency of Rashi Ganjifa during Peshwa rule. Then Navagraha, I'll come to the Dashavatari Ganjifa at the end. When there were Rashi Ganjifas there, the play was according to the Rashi. If today this Rashi is there, the Rashi Swami will be there. On the basis of that, they have Navagraha Ganjifa. If you play on Sunday, the Surya will be your trump. This way, they started. Again, you get books on it, rules on it, but no player to play or explain it. I have a book, Navagraha Ganjifa Khelnyacha Dav, by Narayan Hari Hendre, published from Bombay. That with me. But only technical details are there. Natavadi, Nitavadi, these technical terms are there, but there is no explanation of these technical terms. At least I have not found it. So these were the games. And the important thing about that is Chitta Lasya Nivaranaya. They were played to remove the laziness of our mind. So it was a pastime. It was a game to pass your time. But in our society, even culture, we say, whatever you do, take the name of the God and earn some punya. So all the Dashavatari Ganjifa, Navagraha Ganjifa, Ramayana Ganjifa, you take name of this particular God and play the game. Now I come to the most important Dashavatari Ganjifa. 10 avatars there. The king, that means Rama, will be on Simhasana. His queen will be on horse, and 1 to 10 will be the cards in one pack, 12 cards. In first 5 avatars of Vishnu, Ekka will S will be highest and 10 will be lowest. In the second, it will 10 will be higher, S will be lowest. One important feature of Indian Ganjifa, there is no trump at such. If you will play in daytime, Rama, the person who has Rama as his card will be the king. If you play at night, it will be King Krishna at the time of the birth. In the evening, it will be Narsimha. On a dusky day, you have Kurma as the king. So this is the way they play. The only thing was, when you play the card of king, you have to play another lower card, which is supposed to be an asana for the king. Get the point? So 2 cards at a time, 3 persons play, and 120 cards, 40 cards each. But again, as I told you, descriptions are there, but difficult to understand unless you have practical experience of playing it. You can't know the nuances or the problems which you face while playing these games. Towards the end of the talk, I come to a very simple game which is played by almost everyone in our childhood. It is known as Sapashidi in Marathi, but its original name is Mokshapata of Jnanadeva. The creation of this game is ascribed to Jnanadeva, 13th century saint poet of Maharashtra. Jnanadeva created the Mokshapata in order to teach the philosophical principles of Bhagavata religion to the general public, the Varkaris. How to pass your time during Vari. So he was interested in teaching them the philosophy as well as making them entertain their own self while doing the Vari. So it is a double-ended game, knowledge as well as entertainment. And what was the knowledge? It was Sadachara. If you do good things, you get good fruits. If you do bad things, you will get bad fruits. So you can climb higher realms with the help of the ladders and come down through the mouths of the snakes if you indulge in bad things. So the simple philosophy of good done gets you profit, bad done gets you discredit. In order to impress this philosophy of Sadachara, he created this game by using some technical terms, some gunas, some doshas, or satkarma, satya, or krodha. What is the effect of krodha? What is the effect of jnana? What is your tapas? And the end was Vaikuntha, Mokshapada. 84 was the last house, which was 84 Chaurashi Laksha Yoni, through which a man is human beings supposed to pass. As you know, from Maharashtra, our kings went to Tanjavur. Modern day Tanjavur, formerly it was Tanjore. There it was the relatives of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj who were the kings at Tanjavur. So these Mokshapata went to Madras or specifically to Tamil Nadu or Tanjavur, where it was known as Parama Pada Sopana Patam. The pata which will take you to Parama Pada, highest goal. Highest goal is moksha. There in that pata, Parama Pada, what they did, along with this guna dosha of the Indian philosophical systems, they added the kings, queens, and other things and increased the number of houses of that pata. Same game with the help of Kauris, etc. They tried their way. Now everybody knows Gujarat is adjacent to Maharashtra. Gujaratis and Jains thought that when the Hindus can teach their religion through snakes and ladders or jnana, moksha pato, why we should not try our hand? So they tried their hand to teach Jain philosophy by creating the game of jnana baji. You know, most of the Gujarati words are influenced, or Gujarati language also is full of Urdu and Persian words. See, Gujarati is called Sal Mubarak. We use Sal Mubarak. Neither the word Sala nor the word Mubarak is Hindu or Gujarati or Sanskrit. So they tried to amalgamate this with Jain philosophy. They were in under the influence of the Muslims. So Baji is a game, Jnana, which leads you to Jnana. So that became Jnana Baji. The Tantrikas also created their own games. I don't go into the details. But the most important thing of this Akshakrida or this snakes and ladders is the Akshakrida Vishesh, game of 285 houses created by Gulab Rao Maharaj, a blind, or I should say Prajna Chakshu Maharaj from Madhan, a place known as Madhan, near Amravati in Maharashtra. He called himself, he termed himself as Jnaneshwara Kanya. So he said Jnaneshwara created a game of 84 houses based on only Hindu philosophical terms. He increased the houses to 285 by collecting together the philosophical systems of Hindus, Jains, Buddhas, Christians, Parsis, and Jews. All the philosophical systems, or you can say religions or religious pantha, you can say all sects together, and put all this material into one big chart which is known as Akshakrida Vishesha of Akshakrida. And in that, he has explained everything regarding good things from all the philosophical texts related to different religions. So this is the peak of the intellect of Gulab Rao Maharaj, that he took inspiration from his guru, from his father, you can say. He called himself Jnaneshwar Kanya, and reached the peak. Jnaneshwar created 84 houses, he reached it to 285 houses, giving the gist of the philosophical terms of almost all the existing philosophies in the world. With this, I again thank the authorities of the Sanskrit department of the Bombay University for giving me an opportunity to share my knowledge of nearly 47 years in delving deep into this most neglected system of Indian knowledge. So I chose this topic because generally Sanskrit scholars don't look to the social orientation of social motivation of Sanskrit literature, which could be described by games or pastimes. So I hope you have enjoyed this little bit of experience which I have shared with you, and I thank you profusely for patiently hearing to me. Thanks.